The afternoon was calm, too calm, the kind of ordinary that makes you think nothing could possibly go wrong. Then my phone rang. I wiped my hands on a dish towel, expecting it to be my daughter. Or maybe a neighbor. But instead, a polite voice introduced themselves, saying they were calling from a hotel. At first, I barely listened. Something about confirming a reservation. My mind wandered, until I heard the words that made my stomach drop. Mr. Bennett's reservation. The couple's suite. I froze, certain they had the wrong Bennett. My Bennett, my husband Daniel, would never. I even laughed nervously, ready to correct the mistake. But the employee, so professional, read back his full name, his credit card, the dates. Each word hit me like a blade, sharper and deeper than the last. For a split second, I prayed it was a misunderstanding, but deep down, I knew. Daniel wasn't planning a romantic getaway with me. He was planning it with someone else. My heart plummeted, and yet, instead of collapsing, I went cold, clear, focused. I thanked the hotel staff politely, as though they hadn't just detonated a bomb in my kitchen. When I hung up, the silence roared in my ears. The mug drying by the sink, the faint smell of coffee. Suddenly, it all felt like someone else's life. The life I thought I had no longer existed. My hands trembled, not from weakness, but from the storm building inside me. Anger and heartbreak colliding. I could have screamed, broken down, but instead, a steeliness settled in, a dangerous calm. If Daniel thought silence was passive, he was about to learn how lethal it could be. That evening, he walked through the door, smiling like nothing had changed. He kissed my cheek, hung his jacket, and talked about his day. He had no idea the ground beneath him had shifted. No idea I already knew. I replayed the hotel clerk's words again and again. The couple's suite. He probably thought his cover story was flawless. But I had already seen the script, and now I could rewrite the ending. At dinner, I asked casually about his weekend. He didn't hesitate. He said he had a conference. Smooth. Practiced. He believed his own lie. I smiled, nodded, and memorized every detail, every twitch, every flicker in his eyes. Later that night, while he showered, I made the call. My voice steady, though my pulse hammered in my ears. I asked the hotel for a receipt. They sent it without hesitation. And when I opened that email, there it was. His name, the dates, the couple's package. Undeniable, cold proof. The woman I used to be would have broken down, begged for answers. But not anymore. Betrayal didn't crush me, it forged me. By the time Daniel stepped back into the room, I was smiling, pouring his coffee, hiding evidence just a few feet away. He had no clue the game had already turned against him. In bed that night, while he slept, I stared at the ceiling. My mind didn't spin with questions. It sharpened with plans. If Daniel thought I was blind, he was about to see how sharp my vision could be. The next morning, I called my lawyer. Calm, businesslike. I forwarded the receipt. And that's when I remembered our prenup. Daniel's idea years ago, his safety net, his arrogance. But that very clause, it was about to become my blade. Proof of betrayal, ironclad, enough to destroy him in court. That evening, I watched him pack for his conference. He hummed softly, tucking away his favorite cologne. I leaned in the doorway, arms crossed, letting him spin his lies, every word another knot in the rope tightening around him. I even handed him his charger, smiling, with the same hands that had already signed legal papers. He thought he was the director of this story. But the truth? He was walking blindly into the final act. The morning he left, I watched his car disappear down the street. To him, just another trip. To me, the last piece of evidence. I logged the time, photographed his suitcase, every detail meticulously collected. While he checked into that suite, I sat across from my lawyer, signing papers that would rewrite everything. That Sunday night, I set the table with candles, papers neatly stacked in the center. When Daniel walked in, suitcase in hand, he looked smug, triumphant. He started talking about his conference. I smiled politely, then slid the folder across the table. His words died in his throat. His face drained of color. The receipt, the hotel confirmation, the prenup clause. It was all there. Proof stacked neatly in front of him. He stammered, searching for excuses, but none came. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I didn't need to. The truth was louder than anything I could have said. He sat there, unraveling, while I stayed calm. For the first time in years, I was in control. This wasn't the end of my world. It was the beginning of my freedom. The dominoes fell quickly. Daniel packing, not for a secret getaway, but for his permanent exit. Assets divided, accounts frozen, keys surrendered. The prenup he once gloated over now cut him down to nothing. And me? I didn't feel broken. I felt lighter. The house felt like mine again. The silence no longer stung. It soothed. Even the air seemed cleaner, as if the walls themselves exhaled relief. As for her, the woman he thought was his prize, she vanished. Without his money, without his home, there was nothing left for her to cling to. She could keep her silence. I had something far better. Dignity, control, freedom. I woke up each morning with sunlight on the table, coffee in my cup, and peace in my chest. Friends expected tears, despair, but what they found was laughter, strength. A woman who had risen sharper than before. I often think back to that call. That hotel clerk who thought it was just another routine confirmation. What felt like the end of my marriage was actually the beginning of me. Daniel may have made that reservation, but I was the one who truly checked out, for good. And in doing so, I discovered something priceless, the beauty of walking into a life entirely my own.